all these contraptions and dials don't read, all they tell me was my speed, and well, that's airspeed, so I don't really have a way of telling speed in space. I got a lot of problems in space. I'm in a glass cage of emotion.
What we do.
As proper engineers, we need to consider all possible ways of getting into space, and we have been told of one way which was seen in Doctor Who. I think season 31, episode 3, Victory of the Daleks. They send a Spitfire into space.
Danny boy to the duck. Honey ho!
We've come to the Battle of Britain Memorial Flight, RAF Coningsby, to walk you through why we are not going to take a Spitfire into space, as much fun as it would have been, and the child inside me it would be a dream come true to fly a Spitfire into space. So we're going to start at the front, the propeller. Now, for propulsion in space, you need to kick a mass out of the back so that you get propelled forward. It's the equal and opposite reaction. The way this propeller works is by moving a mass of air backwards, and so therein lies our problem, the air. We don't have air in space. We would therefore need something completely different. So point one, propeller, gone. Now let's go over to the engine. So this is a Rolls-Royce Merlin engine. It's used in this Spitfire. Other Spitfires later on used the Rolls-Royce Griffin engine, which was more powerful. But for the point I'm about to make, we're going to use this one. So in negative G maneuvers, the fuel in this engine would flood the supercharger, and the fuel-rich mixture would cut the engine out completely. And so this, in a zero G environment up in space, just would not work. We would need something completely different. So for us, I think we're going to consider some sort of plasma engine where it just kind of fires plasma out the back.
Now I'm in the cockpit of the Spitfire. This is another area where we'd have a few problems. It's not going to be pressurized, and when we're out in space, there's nothing on the outside, so everything would kind of come in, we'd want to get out, we'd all spread all over the place. We need some sort of life support system in here, and we don't want to die. On an actual spacecraft, you get a few sort of layers of protection as well. In here, all we have is this one kind of thin layer. If anything was to come crashing into this, it would go straight through, I'd be somewhere over there, and nothing would go right for me. One problem would be having to go to the toilet in space. Now, you wouldn't see it from where you're looking from, but I would have some sort of contraption fitted. As I would be in the Spitfire, there is no room for anyone else in here. I would be on my own, and having the vast blackness and emptiness of space would be quite daunting. I think I'd much prefer to be able to have someone else with me who could also monitor all these controls and contraptions that we'd have to put onto this space Spitfire. And I wouldn't really be feeling too safe about the fact that anything could be flying around me. And if you think about it, I don't know what's going on below me. All I can see is what's here, and I've got a lovely little mirror. So anything can fly at me from any angle, at any velocity. I'm not going to want to be in this and not know what's around me. I don't think I'd even have any sort of powerful radar to tell me what's going on. All these contraptions and dials don't read, all they tell me was my speed, and well, that's airspeed, so I don't really have a way of telling speed in space. I got a lot of problems in space. I'm in a glass cage of emotion.
Here is where you find our aerodynamic surfaces, our flaps and our ailerons. To move this aircraft, we're going to have to deflect some of the air and change the lift over the wing so you can sort of roll it or pitch up, pitch down, or that'll be for the tail. But for us in space, again, we don't have air. We need to move this in some other ways. So what we would have is very small thrusters that would kick out a little bit of, say, hydrazine or something like that. And that little bit of mass that comes out would turn our spacecraft. So if we wanted to do it, we would have to completely make this a solid wing and just have little thrusters all over the place that would be able to turn our Spitfire, and it just wouldn't really work. That's a summary of the reasons why we're not going to put a Spitfire into space. I think the only way we'd probably get one up there is if we went down the route of Mr. Musk and strapped it to a big old Falcon Heavy and launched it up. So if you want to comment below any questions, myself or someone who knows probably a lot more than me will answer your questions.